Every now and then, a home buyer will get to the closing table, or they'll be very far along in the process of buying a house, and they'll discover that the property they're about to buy requires flood insurance, that it's in a zone whereby their mortgage lender, and probably, they'd want to, even if the lender didn't require this, but the lender requires that it have flood insurance. And it can be a big surprise because it can be a house where you can look all around and you don't see a body of water anywhere. The yard's not even wet, and you don't even feel like you're on low ground, but sure enough, it could require flood insurance. And some people will discover, wow, the homeowner's insurance along with this flood insurance is going to be many times what I expected it would be. Sometimes buyers can even get angry, and rightfully so, as they get to the end of the home buying process and discover, wow, this is an expense that we just weren't budgeting for. Sometimes real estate agents have no clue as to whether or not a property requires flood insurance. There's no reason to suspect it, and most properties don't. So if you're going through the process, it's worth a call to your insurance agent to be able to ask, hey, will you take a look at this address? Just make sure it's not going to be any additional expenses that we're not thinking of. We had an experience this weekend where a young couple, first-time home buyers, were going to buy a house in a neighborhood that was established in the 1950s and 60s. And it's a beautiful home. And because we'd worked in that neighborhood before, what we knew was there's a creek back behind that house. Can't see it from the house. In fact, there are houses between this house and the creek. So it's not in the backyard or anything. Having worked in that neighborhood before, we recognized that oftentimes flood insurance is required for the properties in that neighborhood. So upon investigating, we found out that the current owner, and this wasn't advertised, but that the current owner does have to have flood insurance, and it's an extra $100 per month that it's required for this particular property. Now, some properties it'll be more, some properties it'll be less. But that was something that could have surprised the buyer at the end had we not worked in that neighborhood before and if we were not familiar with that situation. So another good reason why when you go to buy a house, please hire a local realtor with some experience who knows the area and can advise you in matters like this. It's not 100% that they'll catch everything and guide you perfectly, but the more times they've done it with a higher number of buyers, they've seen lots of things. They can give you great advice, and it is worth it to connect yourself with a great local realtor. Have a great week.